5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Deducter bringing you set 5 of KT Roaster versus Airforce Ace. Airforce Ace up 3-1 against KT Roaster. One game away from 4-1ing the second-ranked Pro League team. I believe Airforce Ace is either last or second to last. So this is actually quite an incredible turn. KT now sending out Stats, their second best player, to make sure that they get to another game. And we have ggaemo playing for Airforce Ace as the Teal Zerg at the 11:30 position, and we have Stats as the Yellow Protoss at the 5:30 position playing for KT Roaster. ggaemo not the best Zerg. He's actually okay against Protoss. He's 48% against Protoss, so that's pretty good, actually, considering that he's not exactly known for being the best player. I think he's best known for that one mine under the floating barracks that killed like 10 of his Hydras at once. Forget who that was against, but surely there are many YouTube videos on that people can look up. Stats, of course, a good Protoss player on KT. In fact, besides Stats and Flash, I don't think KT really has any reliable performers, unfortunately, at this point. And each one of the Zergs KT sent out has failed pretty horribly, might I add. It wasn't like they were, well, they were close games, but it shouldn't be close against Airforce Ace. Like, if you were playing close games and lost against Airforce Ace, that would mean pretty much any other team would slaughter your Zergs here, KT Zergs in this case. Now, perhaps this is not giving enough credit to the Air Force players. I feel the Air Force players were doing very well. But still, it's just kind of embarrassing for the second-ranked Pro League team to be doing such a poor job. Looks like 12 hatch coming for ggaemo here. And Stats is going to scout this out. Stats putting down his Forge already. He's going to be able to put down his Nexus next, seeing this build coming from ggaemo. There are all sorts of variations on the fast expand from Protoss, depending on what you do. You really do need that scout. It is absolutely critical. Obviously, if you go for Nexus after your Pylon, and the Zerg went for 9 pool, it's pretty much... Well, it depends on the map. Even then, it could be fine, depending on the map. So, it depends on a lot of factors that I am not 100% clear on. It's just that, in general, Protoss, I feel, should err on the side of caution. If you don't know, you have to assume a 9 pool. Usually the correct response is cannon, cannon. Forge, cannon, cannon, rather. If the Zerg went for a 12 pool like this, you should be able to safely put down your Nexus and then get cannons. And if the Zerg went for the 3 hatch before pool, you can safely put down the Nexus first. So all sorts of possibilities here. Just want to be a bit careful as a Protoss and not lose any sort of early break. That's always rather embarrassing. That's just a mistake. It's not even good play by anyone. But it seems like this is interesting variation here by Stats. I probably should have known this earlier. He sent out some Zealots for a harass here with his probe. 2 Zealot hits and 2 probe hits kill a drone. So Stats is hoping to pick off a few drones here. He should be able to have pretty good micro here against ggaemo, hopefully. Stats with a Zealot at the front, picking away at some of these Zerglings. Zealot doing well in the front. It looks like the Zealot and the Probe managed to pick off one of the drones. That's pretty good. Still, I think Stats is hoping to do a bit more damage with his 2 Zealots here. One drone is not really quite worth it in terms of investment. He also picked off a few Lings, but that's not going to bother ggaemo. ggaemo already with the 3rd base up. Stats got his little Zealot trapped behind those mineral pile. I think that's a bit silly. He's going to lose that Zealot there. Well, he's taken down 2 Zerglings. It's still not really, I think, too effective, this harass coming from Stats. Oh yeah, he didn't put down the Forge. I had just assumed that was a Forge, but if I were paying close attention on the minimap, I should have realized that was a gateway. So my apologies about that, but the gateway Zealot harass, I haven't really seen this too much. Zat's persisting with sending out these Zealots. I think at this point he should pull back. There's not much he can do against this now. Against ggaemo now. Unless he masses up like 3 or 4 Zealots for some sort of attack. The one advantage Stats has is his scouting probe is still alive, and he's seeing everything that's going on in ggaemo's base. So that's always helpful. ggaemo does have his third base up already. So Stats looks like he's pulling his Zealots back. He's probably going to go for the usual +1 speed lot attack. I would argue that ggaemo has a bit of a lead in terms of economy in this game now, considering Stats put down his Nexus quite late, and Stats' early harass not really accomplishing too much. So, but that shouldn't bother Stats too much, I think. A bit of an advantage to ggaemo here. Stats should still be able to win, I feel, as long as he doesn't do anything particularly appalling like the KT Zerg players this series. First you had Hoja, who seemed absolutely clueless in his game, and then you had and then last game, that was also extraordinarily bad. You had Action refusing to drone up for about 5 minutes there. If he'd built like 10 more drones, he would have won that game without question. Just baffling play from KT players. Absolutely baffling. But here's hoping that Stats is not falling victim to the sort of well, Flash was looking as dominant as always, so I shouldn't say that about all KT players that they're all baffling. It's just the non-flashes. So here's hoping that Stats puts up good performance and at least go to the next game. Again, this is a must-win game for KT. If they lose, getting 4-1 by Airforce Ace really is not the best. You know, you don't really want that sort of record, if you would. Looks like ggaemo here getting some of his overlords picked off. I don't think he's morphed his Spire for some reason. Stats managed to kill 2 overlords at least. Might be able to even pick off 1 more. ggaemo also not building Hydralisk to defend. Okay, so there's the Spire. No, that's the evolution chamber. Where is his Spire? Is ggaemo like just conceding the air? Okay, he's got his Spire in the main. Okay, that makes sense. Now Scourge coming out to ward off these Corsairs. There's a Dark Templar and a few Zealots out. Let's see how good Stats can do with an attack. He's pulling all his Corsairs back to cannons. I think he should be fine. ggaemo not being quite fast enough with any sort of clever sandwich attack from the Scourge. Just 1 Scourge landing on Corsair. That's not going to bother Stats. ggaemo with a reasonable defense at his 1 o'clock base. He's got some Sunkens. He's got a few units there. I think he should be fine against these Dark Templar. He's probably going to put down a Spore there, just to be absolutely sure. Stats also with 2 High Templar. I don't know whether he's going to morph them into an Archon or not. Probably not. Usually you use Archons to try to counter Mutalisk, as opposed to Hydralisk, for instance. Archon is very bad against Hydralisk, in fact. So ggaemo with a good number of units at his front. Stats trying to bait these Scourge with his Corsairs. Managing to pick off the Scourge. Very nicely done there by Stats. So he's got a few Corsairs. That'll always be helpful in conjunction with these Dark Templar. You can do all sorts of clever little sneak attack. Stats is trying to push out with 4 Zealots and 2 High Templar. I'm not sure whether that's advisable. That seems rather silly, and now Stats losing one of his Corsairs to Scourge. He needs more if he wants to actually kill the Scourge. ggaemo, as you can see there, with idle drones. He's not the fastest player around. Well, he was never really that fast anyway. Stats still not with speed upgrade on his Zealots. Fortunately, he does have +1 attack. That's always good. These Dark Templars getting driven away by the Hydras. ggaemo might be coming for some sort of surround, but the Dark Templar should be able to give them the slip. Yeah, Dark Templar escape. Well, actually, they might get sandwiched by these Hydras. No, the Dark Templar just manages to escape from the House Robotics facility, going down for Stats. Let's see what he goes for. Probably Observers first, and then hopefully he gets a few Reavers. I think Reavers are a bit underutilized by the Protoss. It's well, I don't know why the reason for that is. It might be that Storm coming from Stats here, not the most effectual of storms. Was Stats like targeting his own Overlord over there? I don't know. He was firing at something with his units. 2 lurkers out for Stats. I mean for ggaemo, so Stats will need observers to deal with this. Or alternatively, lots of Templar. A second storm, this one pretty good. Now Stats is storming all over those lurkers, killing both lurkers. Nice storms there, and Stats with a big Zealot army pushing into ggaemo's Hydras. ggaemo just holding his ground with his Hydras, looking a bit stunned on his face. He's going to be able to hold this, I feel, with that lurker. That lurker is going to be critical there for ggaemo. Stats, I think, would do well to ignore these units and go straight for ggaemo's main and pick off a building or two, like the Hydralisk Den. Kill the Hydralisk Den or something, but Stats electing to retreat. I would say Stats definitely came out ahead in that battle. A shame he didn't have an observer to finish off that lurker there. So Stats doing pretty well so far. I think he needs to retreat and mass up a few storms before trying to push out. He's got 4 Templar. That's plenty. That could devastate ggaemo's forces. ggaemo doesn't look like he's got the best Hydra micro. Usually you back up a bit with the Hydras and attack, back up, attack, even against speedlots. So I don't know. ggaemo not too impressive this game so far. Stats doing an okay job. Ggaemo managed to pick off that probe that was trying to establish a